Hi and welcome to the Forest of Arden. My name is Chris Ryan, this is Alistair Davis, and we are coming to you today with a series of videos on how you can save par out on the golf course. So there's about 6 or 7 videos in this series. Some of them are on my channel and some of them are on Alistair's channel. So if you haven't seen Alistair, please click the link in the description box. That'll take you to his channel where there's, as I say, a few of the videos that we've done today about how to save par. So we're talking in this video about a short chip or pitch to a flag which is situated where there's not a lot of green for you to work with, Alistair.
No, you've got probably maximum 8 to 10 foot.
Exactly, not a lot of green. The added difficulty here is we've chosen a situation where the lie is quite thick. So golfers would generally approach this and class that as a poor lie. Now, before we go through exactly what we're going to try and advise you to do, let's just go through what we tend to see golfers doing too commonly. There would be a good understanding that there isn't a lot of green to work with. There would therefore be a good understanding that we need to get this ball just onto the green maybe, and they will often take their setup and try and land the ball just on the green, and the ball goes 3 or 4 yards in front of them and they're faced with almost that same shot again. That's what we see a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what they've really done there is almost tried to be too delicate, and the club hasn't really gone through the grass at enough speed, and we haven't really been able to generate the speed in the club head to extract that ball.
Yeah, I think what we're going to try and get across in this video is we can get you to stand and set up to a ball in a certain way.
Exactly.
That allows you to generate some speed, be committed to get the ball on to the green without achieving too much distance.
Exactly. So we'd be pretty happy here with anything that's around about 10 feet away, and certainly that 10 feet would potentially be more past the hole. We certainly want to be past the hole a little bit rather than short in that situation where I say we're faced with the same sort of shot. So what we'd like to do is make sure that the club gets nicely through this longer grass. Now, for us to do that, we need probably 2 things. We need a little bit more speed in the golf club, and we also need to be slightly steeper into the golf ball. Those 2 things will hopefully mean that I can get my club through that grass much quicker. However, those 2 things generally give me more distance and a lower flight. But there's certain things we can do in our setup which are going to help us sort of contradict that, if you like, and get that ball a little bit more airborne. So I've chosen my most lofted club here, which is a 60. And at setup, I'd like to open that club face even more. So I'm making that club maybe 70, 80 degrees of loft by rotating the golf club to my right, and that's going to cause the leading edge to appear as if it's pointing way off to the right. So as I was just showing there. And that's really going to give me a little bit more loft. Now straight away, if I've got a little bit more loft on the golf club, I'm encouraged to create a little bit more speed, because I realise that there's going to be more upward and less forward movement. Now, a couple of the things we'll do is get this golf club a little bit steeper into the ball, as Alice was saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that ball not a million miles away from the middle of my stance, so it's pretty much under the buttons on my shirt. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to preset a fair bit of weight into my lead side, so that the ball is now positioned back of my sternum. It's about 3 to 4 inches behind me. As I do that, I'm going to take the handle a little bit forwards as well. So with my sternum being in front of the ball and my handle being slightly in front of the ball, I've already preset the fact that club's going to be a little bit steeper into the ball. That's really key from that situation, isn't it? Yeah,
I think the steeper we can get the swing or the arc, the less grass you can hit before the ball.
Exactly.
Which means there's less interference in how it makes the club twist.
Exactly.
But also it means it's more predictable for distance control.
Exactly.
And your contact will be much better for, again, getting the ball to stop quicker.
Absolutely. If I didn't make those changes, my club might enter the grass, you know, a good 12 inches before the ball, and by the time it gets to the ball, it's very difficult for me to predict what kind of speed that golf club's going to have, and that's where we tend to get inconsistency in the distance control. By taking a setup as we've just discussed, we will have less interference, and then it's more controllable.
Yeah, I think a lot of the common faults we see with golfers is they tend to think, well, I've got to generate the elevation, and they lean back a lot. Absolutely. And leaning back means the club's going to enter the grass even earlier, and you know, you need to be really having a lot of speed then for the club to travel through the grass.
Exactly.
And if it does travel through the grass enough, sometimes then it'll hit it kind of half ball
at the equator,
and you know, not get the contact we want.
Exactly. So one last thing to go through, which is in the actual motion itself, I would be allowing my wrists to have a little bit of hinge during the backswing. I certainly don't want it to be picking the club up as steeply as I could, but again, if I have a little bit of hinge in the wrist, I've got something that I can actually kind of unhinge into the ball, if you like, and again, that's going to give the club a little bit more speed. Now we've got more loft on the golf club. As I say at the start, we're encouraged to make a swing which is a little bit more aggressive, and that's really going to help me, as I get that club through and extract that ball.
One of the simple terminologies I use for this shot, which is exactly the same as Chris described, just a different way of doing it, I call it what I call some none, which is basically some risks on the way back and no risks on the way through. And that gets that kind of action that Chris is just demonstrating there beautifully. Because the face is open, we get the elevation we want even with that action. If we had the face square with that action, we get a low kind of spinning shot. But we're changing everything to get the elevation and guaranteeing contact, aren't we, Chris?
Exactly. Right, let me hit one. I feel like I should have practiced this. That's a pretty horrible lie you're going there, Esther. Right. Weight forward, sternum in front of the ball, face open, handle forward, bit of wrists, pop that ball out.
Excellent job.
But it's still rolled on quite a bit.
Yeah, part of the reason now, obviously the rough, it kind of gives the contact, you know, you don't get that clean friction on the ball.
You don't feel the club on the ball, do you?
Yes, you get that kind of less spin generated, but also because it's a slight, obviously downhill before the green, you landed it just slightly short, it's kicked on a little bit. Get onto a flat terrain, you probably would have found that would have finished probably within 5 foot of the hole.
I probably could have been a little bit more aggressive there and landed a little bit further. One of those shots where actually the further I landed it, the more level the landing area was. So, but not too bad from that situation. The alternative certainly is better than that.
What was good is you got decent purchase on the golf ball, and because there's the bank there, you're almost guaranteed that as your safety net. If you like slightly short, it'll kick it on the green for you. And again, the main thing is you've given yourself an opportunity to save par, which is realistically what these videos are all about.
So there's some things there that you can do next time you go on the golf course, which is hopefully going to help you better deal with that situation. That shot there is certainly one that we see golfers struggle with day in, day out. So hopefully if you implement a few of those into your game, you'll find that you can be putting with your next shot as opposed to chipping again. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Alistair, or thank you to Alistair I should say. If you haven't done already, then please subscribe to my channel. Head over to Alistair's to subscribe as well, because as I say, some of these videos are going to be on his channel. Usual stuff down below, like box, comments, all that kind of stuff. So if you do have any comments, please let us know. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But once again, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again soon.